Hello, welcome back to Dadpuzzles podcast, my friends. Today we're excited. We would like to celebrate actually the incredible stories and insightful conversations on parenting, leadership, and making a difference. And so we do have a truly extraordinary guest, Isvari Maranwe. Correct?
Yeah. Yes. My first name's pronounced Ishwari, but I genuinely go by anything because I think it's a very global world, and I do not think everybody's going to pronounce it correctly. I respect people who really care about how their name's pronounced, but I'm not one of them. So.
Perfect. Oh my goodness, thank you so much. So you're not just a CEO, but you're also a founder of U Voice, a groundbreaking platform aiming to transform the civic engagement, and also you're also a tech innovator, a national security attorney. Please excuse me. And author and mentor who is helping people become the superheroes in their own right. So we'll dive into your inspiring journey today, your thoughts on leadership, and also the impact of your dad towards your path. So please welcome my friend.
Thank you so much. It's really a privilege to be here. I'm really excited to be here. And my dad's background as well is in startups and tech, cybersecurity, Silicon Valley entrepreneurs. That's literally perfect, a perfect topic to talk about.
Amazing, amazing. So can you tell us a little bit about now that I know, okay, your dad is from here, is from there, but what's your background? Because now we are global, really. I like this vision of just being global. We are global citizens, right?
So my parents are both from India. They were born and raised in India, immigrated to the United States. I was born and raised in the Silicon Valley in California, and I also spent a lot of time in Bangalore, back in India, which is where my dad is from, where he was born and raised.
Right.
And then I've had the great privilege to be able to travel around the world frequently. I've spent a lot of time living, especially in Europe, in India, of course, and all across the United States, especially in the Washington D.C. Arlington area, where I worked a lot in politics and the law. When I was in law school, I was a Georgetown law, and of course in the Bay Area in California. And right now I happen to randomly be in LA, but I've actually never lived here before. I've only been for a couple work trips, so I'm excited to see if I like this city too. And then eventually we'll see where I settle down.
Oh, amazing, amazing. So what led you to pursuing law?
Great question. So actually, my dad. So it's a great segue. So when I was growing up, I always was very passionate about making an impact in the world, and I wanted to do things that tangibly changed the suffering that I was seeing in the world for people, for animals. I was in physics, but there simply wasn't the ability in physics to make the tangible impact that I wanted to. So I switched into more like politics, political science, and the law. My dad always said from when I was young that he thought I would make a great attorney. He thought I should go to law school. I wanted to run for office. Maybe I will someday. We'll see. But he always
Right.
said the best thing if you want to do that as well is to become an attorney. And of course, an inordinate number of politicians in the United States are attorneys. So I went to law school, sort of with his advice and guidance and all that. And I also wanted a chance to be able to get a professional degree and a master's that I could fall back on, regardless of what I wanted to do in my career and where it took me. So it's a very expensive, very time consuming, very difficult degree, but in many ways, I do still think it is such an all purpose degree that provides people, has provided me with a great amount of privilege. So that's
Oh,
why
this
law
is
school.
this is amazing. Did you have any mentors along the way besides that initial push from your dad?
Yeah, one of the things that I have had probably unusually,
Mhm.
as I was growing up, especially going to law school, is I didn't have a ton of mentors or support. And part of the reason that I co founded Dweebs Global prior to the nonprofit I'm at now, which is a viral mentorship nonprofit, was to provide mentorship and support, mental health support and advice, resume support to people like me who may not have it, despite it being privileged in many, many ways and having access to a great network and being sort of viral on LinkedIn at a very young age. So I had that as well. I
Mhm.
didn't really find specific people who helped me grow and mature. And I was much more, unfortunately, experiencing things like sexual harassment from people who said they would be mentors, or a lot of criticism or jealousy, or it was just very difficult until I hit law school for me to find professors and folks who were able to really mentor me. And part of the thing that I think one of the great gifts my parents gave me, including my dad, was just helping me navigate that world. Like they would check my emails, they like so that they were professionally written when I was a teenager, you know. They would help me like get up on LinkedIn. Like I social media wasn't banned in our house. Like they knew it was going to be the next big thing. They were like, okay, how do you succeed on these new platforms?
Mhm.
And so it allowed me to get where I got, despite the fact that I did not have that sort of mentorship that you would expect. And it's something I really am passionate about changing for young people today, because I think mentors can be life changing. It just wasn't something that I specifically had outside of my family.
Oh, this is great. I truly appreciate you, like sharing that. So I know before we dive into, a couple other questions about your beautiful endeavors, can you tell us a little bit about your dad and what is, what do you, what inspires you from your dad, besides,
Yeah, so
what you shared?
yeah, my dad's actually in startups as well. So he has
Hmm.
a cybersecurity start. He's still in startups. He has a cybersecurity startup right now, and so he's always been active in the cybersecurity space, digital technology, business acceleration. So he's worked with a number of businesses in the United States and Europe to help them grow. He's trained and educated entrepreneurs worldwide, done a lot of programs educating young entrepreneurs around the whole world.
Hmm.
And so that sort of is very similar to the work that I ended up doing entirely accidentally. Of course, as I mentioned at the previous nonprofit Dweebs Global, doing a lot of mentorship and helping young entrepreneurs, and now at UVoice, just being a very traditional, in some ways, tech startup. We're a nonprofit, but we're a new digital media platform, and we care a lot about cybersecurity and data privacy. I have a lot of connections and network from the Valley as a result of growing up there. So actually, very similar to the work that my dad does in terms of following in his footsteps. Recently, at sort of a
Want real results that last? Stop wasting time on quick fixes. A no-fat approach to sustainable fitness, radiant health, and mental well-being is your roadmap to lasting transformation. Learn how to fuel your body, move with joy, and cultivate mental strength, all without the restrictive rules. Start your journey to sustainable success. Download your guide today.
UVoice have also been trying to drag him in more to give me advice and to help grow as well. The
Hmm.
other thing I would say is that my dad being very startup oriented and also prioritizing travel so much
Hmm.
has ended up creating the situation that I'm sort of in right now, where I really prioritize travel and my ability to see the world and live overseas more than, say, having a house or settling down in one place.
Hmm.
I think as well, my being a risk taker, like my dad quit a whatever Fortune 500 exec job or whatever to start startups and to
Hmm.
and to create unique value in the world. And I'm doing the same thing. Like I left a law firm and working in the government where I was earning good money as an attorney to do
Hmm.
this. So I think those are values that have definitely been passed down.
Oh my goodness! You mentioned the keyword that struck me, the risk taking. I remember when I was talking to my dad, because I'm originally from Tanzania, and I don't have I don't I hope you don't mind me sharing a little bit
No, you
about.
should you should share. I really want to learn more.
Please, no. So I'm from Tanzania. I was born and raised there, and from primary school to secondary school to high school, which is A level over there,
Hmm.
advanced level, because
Yeah.
it's a British system.
Hmm.
After that, you go to medical school, whatever. So I did not go to the medical school there, even though I passed the exam in A level to go to, but then I wanted to come to the America to study here and become a doctor here. Nobody supported me, but my dad, like rest in peace. He was very supportive. He says, "You being the risk taker, Suleiman, I think this will be very good for you, and this will make you successful." So I'm glad to see that another dad out there is also supporting, you know, their kids to become risk takers. Because sometimes when you're narrow-minded, because maybe we're brought that way, we don't want to instill that into our kids. It's good to let them be who they are. Like if they like taking risks, I think it's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, no, that is lovely. That must have been so scary coming to the US on your own, not necessarily knowing anyone here, like succeeding here. I mean, that's amazing. Congratulations. Like I think that's one of the big inspiration I take from both my parents, is that is so difficult, and I see that in you as well. So genuinely congratulations. That's beyond difficult. Like from my perspective, my little
Mhm.
privileged, you
Right.
know,
Mhm.
perspective, because my parents were able to support me so much that just being coming on your own and having to deal
Mhm.
with that is just incredible, incredibly
With
difficult.
$1,000 in the pocket. Oh my God.
Wow.
Yeah,
How did you make that work? Like, tell me a little bit more about your story. Like when you arrived in the U.S. and all. Like, how did you make it work? How did you
right.
become who you are today?
Right, I knew somebody here that has been here in Columbus, and I was accepted into a college in Ohio, and this is 2 year college, and thinking, oh no, Ohio for where I'm from. When you talk about Ohio,
Yeah.
let's say is a town, so whatever school you go to, you think you're neighbors to, but Lorain County and Columbus, whatever, is too far. So I did not,
Yeah.
you don't know these things. So I
Yeah.
got here. The reality, the first 2 weeks I was very sick because of the weather. I almost went back home, but I persevered. Yeah. So, anyways, that's the story a little bit. So I'm really happy to hear that people really support. They parents, they support their kids to become risk takers. This is very
Yeah.
important aspect that people need to get from our conversations today too.
Yeah.
Amazing,
Definitely.
amazing. I love about your program with the U Voice. I see you have authors from everywhere, and the goal is really noble because I saw that let's say you have people that have they're blind or they have trouble with vision from different countries. Like from Pakistan to Brazil, and they're creating something to be able to help other folks in the same situation. I'd like for you to speak about that. I'm too
Yeah.
excited that
Yeah,
I
yeah, no, I'm so happy to share, and I'm so proud of everybody who's a part of the organization.
Yes.
I think the shortest summary is really social media is chaos. Social
Hmm.
media is broken. Like, I don't even think I need to explain this to anybody because we all know this. There's like
Right.
100,000 different reasons why.
Hmm.
And a lot of the reason is because they are for profit motivated. And so
Mm.
the parent company is a for profit and
Right.
they eventually have to sell out to advertisers, or what happened to Twitter when it sold to Elon Musk. Their
Hmm.
incentives are not to make the best, most ethical platform for users. We're a nonprofit. Our incentive is our users, our
Right.
consumers. And also, we're not really a competitor for traditional social media because we're not content creator media. We're not influencer media. I love being an influencer, but that is not what social media was supposed to be about. It was
Hmm.
supposed to connect you to other real people doing
Right.
real things around the world. And we have an algorithm we are creating, where basically it is rewarding people for tangible impact, not
Right.
fame, not money, not clicks, not likes. And I really believe in a world that is motivated like that, but we
Hmm.
cannot get there if, and I think this is something you'll really feel as a dad as well, if we're
Right.
incentivizing our children, we're literally rewiring all of our brains, children and non-children, to care
Right.
about fame, to care about
Right.
visibility and clicks at any cost, no matter what
Hmm.
you're saying, how outrageous, how inappropriate, whatever it is, right?
Right.
How false.
Hmm.
um, you're going to start doing that because you're literally rewiring what makes you happy
Hmm.
to be aligned with clicks, likes, and getting addicted to social media. And we want to take those same sort of pathways and instead use it to reward people for tangible impact, incentivizing people to go through their lives creating tangible impact. So that's our goal: better for users, better for the world. We really, really think there needs to be an alternative to what's currently on the market. There's huge, huge market potential, and we are very much about creating a new market instead of just competing in the current toxic space. So,
Amazing. Actually, I was not going to talk about it because I thought it was a so. But since you mentioned it, what's the time frame we're looking at?
yeah, no, it's a great question. So we're probably looking at full public launch, quarter 1 next year, sometime in the spring, maybe.
Hmm.
We are thinking about very innovative ideas on how to structure.
Hmm.
This is the part that's a little bit more but
Right. Right. Okay. Okay.
hopefully, well, there'll be a full public announcement soon. But
Hmm.
as a hint, if you look at the way OpenAI has started to structure their nonprofit, we're looking
Hmm.
at similar ways because we want to be able to sustain our growth and sustain our users
All right.
without ever charging anybody to use our platform.
Okay, okay. Wow, this is amazing. I know we're deep into the conversation, but also, something that I meant to ask you at the beginning was, like what we're talking about, the cybersecurity. Because me as a dad, let's say I would like to educate my kids or any dads out there. You look at the world right now, you look at the cybersecurity, you look at AI, they're like the future. So what's like who's winning from your perspective or your dad's perspective? I want folks to also get this idea because me as a I don't know yet. It seems to me like those guys are competing and one like maybe one is winning.
Yeah. I mean, I think if you're talking about AI, I think OpenAI and Sam Altman. I'm not endorsing this, but I do think they have a really large control in the market. There's many reasons for that. One is focus on innovation at any cost, right? They're not really concerned about restrictions or potential ethics concerns. The second is just a market valuation. Like they have a large control of the market. Microsoft's major investment. They are not hamstrung by donations. They're not hamstrung by finances. They're really able to pay for the server space they need to keep running and release new versions.
Right.
They're also the model for how convenient it is for users, which helps them get more data and helps normalize AI in conversation and in culture. I mean, I should say I usually greatly support new technical advancements. I've always been somebody who thinks that we should think about ways to embrace technology and figure out how to use it and adapt ourselves to the new technology, not be one of those people who's like in the 1800s or 1900s being like, we don't want steam engines because, we need coal or whatever it is, right?
Right.
Instead of like, let's not use, solar energy or something. Like I'm always an advocate for new technology. That being said, I think AI is an exception. Like as a person, and just with the experiences that I have, the knowledge that I have, what I've researched, my work in national security and in cybersecurity, like AI is different. It is potentially extremely dangerous. It is potentially world changing. I would hope that we take much, much more care than we currently are on how we're using it and how we're deploying it.
Oh, amazing, amazing. I really support you, and I really hope to see your the algorithm gets fixed up soon, and so we can have a new way. I know it's going to be a big competition, as you mentioned, how we're competing with people that have more support in terms of the finance and everything else. But do not give up. Keep pushing the envelope. I really like that.
Thank you.
Amazing, amazing. So another thing I was working. First, let's finish up the everything all that, so that after that I can go on a tangent,
Oh
and
yeah,
then
no,
then we
I'm
can
happy to talk about my dad. Also,
please.
I should probably say my dad's name is Ram Mohan. He's on LinkedIn. He's not as active as I am, and he rarely takes requests. And both my parents are very private, but I
I
should
see, I
have
see.
mentioned his name.
Please, yes, I will definitely, if I will definitely be linked to him, and I hope we can chat at some point. Why not?
I hope so. I hope so.
Yes, amazing. So maybe what would you like to see in other dads going forward, so that maybe
Yeah.
because what you mentioned is really powerful, but also that's just really one segment of many great aspects you're getting from your dad.
Yeah, no, it's a really good question, and it's actually one that relates so much into my background in digital tech specifically.
Hmm.
One of the best decisions that my parents made, and I think was the most empowering decision ever, was they did not um, prevent me from being on technology or from embracing new technology. So that thing that I said where I'm always up about the latest technology, I'm very passionate about new tech. That comes from my parents, my dad. Like our house works vice versa of the stereotype. Like if I have tech issues or my computer crashes, I'm calling my dad, he's fixing it. I don't help my parents with tech, they help me with tech.
Hmm.
And I think one of the big boons they gave me was they did not keep me off of social media as a teenager. They didn't say, oh, don't use social media. We always had the latest smartphones. My sister and I, we had the latest computers, tablets. We could spend time on it and use it and learn. I learned how to type very, very young.
Hmm.
And I think that is critical. I think there's a fear of using this technology. So a lot of parents really err far too much on the side of control and monitoring everything that their kid is doing, or even saying they cannot have social media. And then when
Hmm.
they're an adult, or when they're 18 or 16 or 17, whatever age they're allowed to have
Hmm.
it, they don't know how to succeed on it. They have not been taught how to stay safe. They have not been taught how to communicate professionally. They have not been
Hmm.
taught how to safeguard their content data. I have been talking about politics, writing political articles, journalism, since I was 15 years old. I'm 27 now. I've done it for over a decade. I'm actually, thankfully, someday it'll
Hmm.
happen,
All right.
never been canceled, right? Like I've never
Hmm.
actually, and that's because I was genuinely taught from a young age, like how to manage my brand online, how to not do things that are morally wrong. And I write about social justice, politics, right? Like, but I know how to do that in a way that I can stand by a decade from now, 2 decades from now.
Hmm.
And
Tired of fads and frustration? Build sustainable wellness for life. Forget quick fixes that fail to deliver lasting results. Imagine feeling energized, moving confidently, and radiating health for years. Achieving true wellness isn't about exhaustion or deprivation. It's about building habits that fit seamlessly into your life. Invest in yourself today for lasting fitness, radiant health, and mental well-being. Ready to transform your life? Click here to learn more. By purchasing the book, you'll gain lifetime access to updates, newsletters, future editions, and exclusive wellness bonuses from the author. Start your journey to wellness now.
I think that that's critical.
Mm-hmm.
And as a dad, as a parent, like
Mm-hmm.
telling your children how to use tech instead of being scared of it, like get them an account,
Mm.
share that account with them, show them how to use it, show them how to respond to things, tell them how to notice what's spam, what's harassment, make
Mm-hmm.
sure that they know how to deal with bullies, block, move on, like build that
Mm-hmm.
emotional strength. Because today, social media makes or breaks careers. Having an active LinkedIn account is a large part of how I landed many jobs, how I've networked, how I've been able to connect to investors or build an international team. It's
Mm-hmm.
absolutely been the biggest boon to my career. If I'd had parents who insisted I was not online until I was 18 or 19, I simply wouldn't have been able to have that benefit. In my case, I also graduated very young, and my parents always encouraged my interest, which I think is something that's wonderful. It's really following what your child is good at and what they want to do.
Right.
I was in law school by 17, so if I weren't allowed to be online as an undergrad or in law
Mm-hmm.
school, like I would have been the only law student not on LinkedIn and not
Mm-hmm.
able to navigate that world. So that's definitely what I would say is I think I see, and I know my parents sort of agree with this, is today too many parents often police their children's stuff online. They're selling their data to organizations, to the parental control companies that like will monitor your kids' texts for you.
Mm-hmm.
That's terrible. You're just giving all your kids' texts over to a third party company. Don't do that. Right.
Right.
So like I think just basic cybersecurity, trust your kid, trust yourself, but teach them how to succeed on it. Don't prevent them from being on the internet.
Wow, this is a very powerful change because so far, most of our dad communities, we just advocate for, please, you gotta limit, do not expose them to this. And, because we worry about, we see all these situations where they're sleeping, like secretly on their phones. They wake up on their phones like they're tired. They don't even think about everything else. It's just about the clicks and the social media. So I think if you can monitor them, like you mentioned, and make sure that we redirect them towards what is good, I think that's the best thing to do.
Absolutely, because what happens is if you create it, if you make it like this tantalizing forbidden thing,
Hmm.
kids are getting more addicted to it. In my case, it was always associated with work. And I think that worked really well for my parents. Is like for me, like they always associated books with fun,
Hmm.
technology with work. And
Hmm.
this has genuinely helped me and carried me through adulthood. Like I don't love being on social media and I'm not addicted to it because I've always associated with it. It's work. It's a job. I need to build my brand. I need to put good content on it, take it seriously. I'm always excited to sign off. I never
Hmm.
got addicted to it because it was never a reward. It was never associated with fun. It was like, hey, Ishri, if you want to succeed in life, if you want to become an attorney, a businesswoman, you need a LinkedIn account. You need to be active on it. You need to do this work.
Right.
And so, and that's sort of how it was for me. And I was never that interested in things like Facebook and Instagram and all because I had a very strong, in real life, I guess, friend circle. And I just, it seemed very shallow. And I think that comes from being taught how to use social media and
Hmm.
what it's for and how it can help you and how it can hurt you. But when you are just like, don't look at it, don't touch it, then it becomes something that's a little bit more tantalizing.
Wow, this is amazing. Thank you. Wow. So this is a good lesson. I think our tone has to change going forward. In terms of limiting, because even have posts where folks they talk about how bad the social media is to their kids and stuff like that, and thousands of people they're commenting and they chime in, but they don't talk anything positive much about it. They just talk about the other side. Wow, this is amazing. So thank you so much for sharing that. So like in the spirit of what you mentioned, how you survived all these years being a lawyer and writing about just like social justice, and you haven't been that word. This is amazing. And me being a newcomer and other folks, I think now I understand because I'll share with you how the several several things that I saw recently. For instance, the talk with the dad of CEO. They were chatting about our,
Yeah.
our friend Noah. He, how he was brought up and everything else. And I was criticizing in my mind why they didn't talk about some things, and now I realize why that is because of the freedom and everything else
Yeah.
that we have exposed to. Wow, thank you so much for sharing this. Any Any now, how do you have those? I see you have different authors with the great, with so
Yeah.
many great pieces in your U voice. How do you get these authors and stuff like that?
Yeah, it's a great question, and it actually relates to what you were talking about with cancellation as well. Partly because of suppression from the right wing and then fear of left wing cancellation, right? There's very few viewpoints people feel safe expressing. So people will say vague comments like, I support human rights, but they won't dive into the details.
Right.
And one thing we really believe at U Voice is that that's rubbish. Don't do that, right? Like, it doesn't have to be the world's truth or somebody else's truth for it to be your truth. And so we really
Hmm.
focus on uplifting voices where you are the person on the ground who experienced it. We don't have to agree with your opinions. I may not have reacted in the same way to the
Hmm.
situation that you find yourself in, but
Right.
understanding you or our writers, right, and the way that you experienced life,
Hmm.
that helps me become a more educated global citizen, right? You can't approach everybody coming from a position of anger and hatred because that does not change minds. There's research after research after research to show this. So, our goal with our platform is really to encourage people to bring their best selves and to read these stories. And so, when we approach writers from around the world, I think this is why we get so many wonderful submissions from across the planet. It's very
Right.
much, what is your story? What is your experience? What has your life been like? And if
Hmm.
you're living in a war zone, right? Like, if you're
Hmm.
living in a place that's impacted right now under geopolitics, whether that's the American elections, Israel, Gaza, whatever it is, you
Hmm.
live on the ground. Tell us your experience. Why do you believe the things that you believe? What has your life experience been? Instead of flying in journalists from another country to point at people behind them and go, look at these Indian children, which I hate,
Hmm. Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
Or flying or having American op-ed authors write an op-ed about the solution to peace in the Middle East. Like, it's not, like, I think there's place for that. There's value in that. That's not what we do. For us, we're very
Hmm.
much about people on the ground, uplifting their voices, making sure that they feel like they're heard, and especially underprivileged voices who may never have had that opportunity, either because they live in a country where that voice is just straight up illegal,
Hmm.
or they live in a country where they are not seen as the people who should be in power, whose voices matter. And so we want to uplift those voices, and we always say we don't necessarily agree with everything in our posts, but that's not the point. Like, our point is to uplift voices, because if you understand how people think,
Right.
you'll much more likely be able to work with them to change either the way they think or to change the world.
Amazing, amazing. Thank you. I'm glad that we do have that. This is the first time this is the second time we're speaking with a lawyer. In this field here. Like in this. Like the parenthood. Nowadays, I'm more into parenthood because we have single dads, single moms. So I don't want to
Amazing.
just talk about dads only and like ignore moms. Because we love our mothers. Without
I love
them.
what you're doing though, because I feel like I've had the opportunity to talk about my mom before, and there's many people who, like, there's a lot of focus on moms, and I think the focus on dads is also, especially minority dads, single dads, is so
Mhm.
important. I
Amazing,
think that's a narrative we have to change.
amazing. Thank you, thank you. And by the way, that the speaking about this, there's so many things. I like how this is a new way. Like I'll share with you why this is very different for me today with you. I was chatting with my good friend. I'll be chatting with her sometime soon. She works. She's been in different corporations. She's in healthcare as well. She's a
Hmm.
big shot, but also. Uh, we're speaking how we cannot speak our mind, or we
Yeah.
cannot speak what's going on with us because these big enterprises, they're
Yep.
controlling everything, whatever you say, like, so
Yep.
she has the power now to fight all that. I'm not there yet, but how, so I think whatever you're starting is very powerful in so many ways, not only in other parts of the world, I mean, even in the our own country.
Yeah.
So thank you so much for doing this, and
Absolutely.
please keep pushing that envelope. And another thing that I was mentioning about mentorship, I spoke with some prior guests about like mentorship. They spoke about how it really influenced them. It made them who they are today, and it's quite unfortunate. And I'm sorry to hear what you shared with us today, because I don't want. I want folks to really speak up if they're experiencing the same situation what you mentioned, because you have sick people that take advantage of things. We don't
Yeah.
want people to hate mentorship because of that.
Yeah, no,
Mentorship
it's
is
a really
amazing.
it's a really good point. Like, finding a good mentor, I know, can be life changing, can be so helpful, but yeah, it can
Mhm.
be can be definitely dangerous. And I think that's where good dads come in as well, is like, especially when children are young, young women especially, like
Mhm.
being there to meet with them, talk to them, like that the situation is critical. I think I definitely saved myself from a lot of bad situations just by including my parents. And I included my parents in pretty much all of my business and work meetings and decisions, met all of my, the people I was involved with, professors, contacts, research
Mhm.
people, up until I was probably, in law school until I was 17. So all through my undergrad, to be clear, I was young, but I still
Mhm.
think it's good for people to do at least through high school.
Right. Oh, amazing. We can go on and on and on. Trust me. There's so many great stuff that like great topics. That we can keep delving on. And but I don't want you to be bored and say, "Oh no, next time I don't want to talk to this guy. He's gonna ask me 1,000 things. He can go on a tangent." I don't want you to feel this way. So
No, you've been
maybe.
fantastic.
Thank you, thank you. I truly appreciate you. And you know, from you building this world, largest pro democracy engagement
Yeah.
platform. This is a unique journey. So really, we support you, and we look forward to seeing it, coming to life. And
Thank you. Me too. Me too. Wish me all the luck.
please, please, and I encourage all the listeners to really, like I'll share all your links as well, so that people
Thank you.
can go in and support you, and and thank you for inspiring us. And for other people, please go ahead and subscribe to Dad Puzzles, and to my friends, like you, voice, so we can, empower her and empower the fatherhood journeys. Thank you again for really doing this with us today.
Thank you so much for having me. Absolute
Uh,
pleasure.
awesome. Thank you. Thank you. All right. So.